I have been for years an admirer of our next guest's work. She's been a great asset, she and her husband Dan, to the Panhandle. I want to welcome in local artist WeezeMarsha. Welcome.
Good morning. We finally arranged this.
I know. I have to say, and everyone who listens to the show when I'm on knows that I'm a serial craft fair attendee. And every time I run into Weeze, I'm like, you got to be on the program. We need to pick your brain about this because it's unusual. It's not unusual for people to be interested in art and not unusual for them to take that as an avenue. But it is unusual for someone to be able to make a living at it.
You know, like anything, being a self-employed, you have to be dedicated, and you find your niche like anything.
You've been a Panhandle resident for more than 30 years.
Yeah, can you believe it?
Well, you haven't lost the accent, though.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I'm a northerner, but I think I'm beginning to acclimate after 30 years, I think.
Originally from?
Traverse City, Michigan.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
We love that place.
It's a great place in the summer. You do not want to be there in the winter.
You know, we were up at Mackinac, and we sat in a pizza shop. And while we were eating pizza in the middle of the summer, they had a video. I guess they were promoting a video for traveling there. And they had a video of some of the kids that stayed over, some of the college kids that stayed over and wintered there. And they had to take snowmobiles across the lake to get to civilization. Yeah. I'm like, no, not worth it. No.
Yeah, and the Mackinac Island is especially that way, just being dropped in the middle of the Great Lakes and being so far north. Absolutely. It's pretty harsh up there.
How thick does the ice get up there?
You know, I'm not sure about the ice, but I do remember when I was about 12 years old and still like maybe about 5 foot tall, you know, not very tall. But I remember going across our backyard having fluffy snow at least up to my chest, trying to wade through it.
Wow.
And it's not so much like it used to be. But yeah, it's cold. It's north.
Welcome to the balmy Eastern Panhandle, WeezeMarsha.
Absolutely. I mean, you call this winter, you know?
But I'm sure you wondered when when Holly was growing up, you know, why are they canceling school today?
Yeah, but I finally realized it's because of the mountainous roads. Mm-hmm. We don't have mountains in Michigan, and so nothing keeps the buses off the roads. But it dawned on me after a while it's because some of the mountains and twisty-turny roads they have here, I wouldn't want my kids on those roads. So yeah, I get it now.
Well, you planted yourselves here, grew your family, and you've blossomed. Your husband Dan has been very active locally.
Yep. He does everything.
He's quite the entrepreneur.
He is.
Some of the things I know, he had a motorcycle detailing business
for 16 years.
And then he's branched into multimedia ventures as well.
Yep, he does currently he's doing a lot of audio video stuff. And he really enjoys that because it's very creative.
Is it risky that both of you are entrepreneurs?
Well, yeah. You know, we really had to coordinate our schedule. And it's like, how are you doing this month? This is what I have scheduled. And yeah, absolutely.
You really have to communicate as a married couple.
You do.
So tell me about your art. Little Weeze, growing up in Michigan, when did you first take up your media?
You know, I was really lucky as far as that went. And to be quite honest, it was the fact that the schools worked with me. And I was a little bit of a wild child, a little bit of ahead of my time, you know, as kids will be. And they gave me 2 years of vocational training and independent study. And to be quite honest, those were my last 2 years of high school, and that's what kept me there.
So they didn't really know what to do with you other than that?
They absolutely didn't, because they had one art teacher who was very good, but I'd already taken all of her classes by the time I was in 9th grade.
Wow.
Yeah. So they gave me independent study, and I thought that was really advanced thinking back then, because that's what helped me graduate.
Well, and it probably also gave you the tools to be independent in your work.
It gave me the exposure. Yep. And the opportunity. It gave me mediums, time, exposure.
When you talk about exposure, were you able to show when you were in the 11th and 12th grade?
Actually, a little earlier than that, because schools have art shows and stuff. And so, yeah, my first commissioned portrait was when I was 12.
No way.
And they had that on display. So,
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not saying it was all that much. I was 12, you know, but that's where really I started. It's like, hey, I can do this.
Is that when you figured out, when this kind of clicked, that aside, you know, I think almost every, I'm going to say this as a broad stroke, no pun intended. I think almost every, little girl, 9, 10, I'm going to be a veterinarian. I'm going to save all the animals, something
Absolutely.
Along those lines. When did you realize, no, that my dream is this?
It was never a decision for me.
Really?
Because from even preschooler, in fact, it was pointed out to me as an adult, some of the furniture my parents had, They had my little crayon scribbles all over it still.
Oh.
And of course, as a child, I denied I wasn't the guilty person who did that. But
Don't tell me you were a single child.
no, I was not. But even then, even preschool, I was scribbling on things, and I hadn't even realized until they said it was destiny. Look at these scribbles. These were you when you were 4, you know?
Well, it sounds like you had a supportive family.
I did.
So they were the ones kind of, I talked a little bit in one of the previous segments about how we're really proud of our Eastern Panhandle football teams. 4 of them have made it to the playoffs, but a shout out has to go to those parents who get them to practices. I'm sure.
Yes, absolutely.
You needed your folks, giving you the tools, making sure that you had the schedule that you needed.
Well, I don't think they entirely knew what to do for me either, because when I'm thinking 9th or 10th grade, there was a local artist who gave classes, and she was very good, and my parents sought her out, and I was thankful for that, but she was honest. She saw my work. She says, bring about 6 pieces of work, and so I know your level. She told my parents, can't do anything for her. They tried, but in a small town in northern Michigan at that time, there wasn't much available. So they tried, but really, what were they to do?
So they did what they could.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You had kind of an independent streak, though.
Always. Yeah. Always.
So when did it become, less of you buying into the scheduling of the teachers and them saying, well, here's what we're going to do. You got to make it through high school. And then you saying, okay, I'm taking the reins on this.
As soon as I graduated, because I was already living on my own just prior to high school graduation.
Wow.
Independent, hard-headed, tenacious, So yeah, absolutely. And, when you're young, it takes a little while to get your footing. I was always doing art, but I wasn't necessarily having any success until I got a little maturity.
How does a kid survive living on her own when she's doing art?
Well,
did you flip hamburgers? Did you have to?
Yes,
do things
I
like
did
that?
all that. And to be honest, I was also, my friends and roommates were also artists. So I had 2 other creative people.
Everyone in the same boat.
And we ate we lived cheap.
Were there ramen noodles back then?
Oh my God, yes. And a lot of care packages from family.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so we were all just lucky. And, that many years ago, I think you could do that better than you can now.
Do you think the folks back home, and I'm not just talking about your parents, but do you think there was kind of this default thought that they'll work their way out of this phase and they'll be coming back home, and they'll get back into college and they'll,
Probably. And I think they always kind of, because I was so headstrong and independent, like, let her do what she's going to do anyways, because we're not going to stop her, And it's usually for the good. I mean, I wasn't a terror where I was bad. It was usually pretty constructive stuff. So, I was good-natured, and so they pretty much said, let her have her way because we can't stop her.
Do you feel like it's been kind of compulsive, your art? Like you almost had to create this?
In a way, but, it's not even something I think about. It's just something I do, and I've been really lucky to find my niche. So.
Which has mostly involved painting?
Yes. Yeah, initially, I started out as a gallery, watercolor, acrylic, that kind of stuff in galleries. Fast forward a little bit, I married a biker. And so things switched over to doing airbrush on motorcycles and automotive for about 15, 16 years. That was great.
That was a neat marriage, if you will, of your talents.
It was. It's a good niche.
Yeah.
And see, I think that's the application with anybody who is self-employed or has a skill. You find the niche that works for you, and you make a niche. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So.
And it allowed you to make enough money that you were able to make a living in the Panhandle.
Yes, yeah, and it's I still do the airbrush and automotive and stuff, but the world changed when the economy changed 5-6 years ago. That industry did too, and I kept kind of having the calling to get back into my canvas work, which is where the Love Me Dog series came in. So I was able to do both and just run with the new series.
Well, let's talk about that. Is there a website that you can direct folks to so that maybe even while they're listening, they can kind of check you out?
Sure. Go to artbyweeze.com.
And spell Weeze.
It's WEEZ as in zebra, E.com.
Okay. So they can look that up. They can start seeing some of those images. What caused you to kind of get into that pigeonhole of animals, pets?
I was trying to find a niche knowing that I had the opportunity to get back into my canvas work, and I wasn't sure what the niche was going to be, and then a little bell rang. Everybody loves their pets, and I wanted something expressive. pets, animals, people, they're very expressive to paint. And I came up with one painting for a dog portrait and ran from it because my husband Dan fell in love with it. And that was encouraging.
The perspective on these, and I've seen a lot of them in your show, is interesting. What made you come up with kind of the like in your face, really close angle?
That's a good way to put it, in your face.
Well, because
it is.
I have a lab and I know exactly what that is.
That's exactly what I intended. You're looking down at a dog and their head is staring up at you. And that was exactly my perspective because I knew it wasn't overdone and I thought it was unique when I started it. And I needed a unique series or it wasn't going to be successful.
Brilliant, because it's also very marketable. And whenever we get back from this short break, I want to talk to you about how that has progressed.
Sounds good.
So tell me about, before the break, we were talking about how you kind of worked your way into this niche of having portraits of folks' animals. How's that been working out? How long have you been doing that?
The series itself I'm about 3.5 years into that. And when you start a new niche on something, you don't necessarily know what direction it's going to take. But I'm a big believer in following requests, demands, and letting it grow and develop by request, by guidance, basically. So the more a customer asks for something, the more I see the value of that and to start taking that direction.
So when you started, you probably did some, for better word, I don't have great words for this, but like a prototype or like a series of probably the most popular dog breeds?
That's how I started. I got on the internet and I typed in 10 most popular dog breeds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so I started with those breeds and that worked, but that tends to change a little bit.
What did you start with? Could you just give me a handful of the names?
Because I liked this one. The first one I did was the Beagle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We had beagles growing up.
Yeah, they're sweet little dogs. Next one I did was a pug, and it's the most unique one because it's wearing a bandana.
Oh.
So I wanted to go a little quirky, but that's really the quirkiest I've gotten with the series because it just caught on so quickly. So I just started really focusing on getting the breeds done, and I'm up to, I think, 30 or 31 breeds right now. So.
And I know that you show in the Panhandle various shows as well. But did you have folks coming up to you when you had? I know how you set up. You've got your panels of the different canvases with dogs. Were they literally coming up to you and saying, "I've got this breed," or "Here's a picture of my dog"?
Yes. In fact, what I had not really expected, and maybe this was short thinking on my behalf, when I started doing the series, I hadn't really thought about all the commission pieces I would get from it. And I've always worked on commission work, so really I should have thought of that. But
brilliant, though. I would have, if you hadn't said that, I would. She's a genius. Look
no,
at this.
it wasn't. I wasn't a genius. I didn't think of it.
The target audience of people who love their dogs and are willing to spend buku bucks.
Yeah, now I know this.
Honor their dogs.
I learned the fact afterwards.
Wow.
But it's working very well because of that.
Happy coincidence. Well, tell us some of the success that you've had marketing this even nationally.
That's the one thing I'm really, really big on. When I was almost a year into the series, I was about 13 paintings. And I decided that I really needed some help with this, so I did a Kickstarter program. And I did a very small one, and it was my first experience with Kickstarter, and it was a great success. So that really helped me go a little bit further, and I kept it small to be able to meet the goals. So that was a very good experience to learn about Kickstarter and to have a good one, one that succeeded.
And did you stay with canvases as the product then?
Well, what I did, I do each painting and then I make reproductions off from them. And then the original paintings are for sale, of course, but I have reproductions in 3 different sizes, matted prints that people can frame, ornaments, brooches, pendants. So I accessorized afterwards. And so that's pretty active, and it's more than just an original painting. It really lets the whole series grow because it makes it affordable where everybody can afford a print if they like that. So,
which is great, because if you're at a community craft fair like I am, I try to support a lot of the different folks that I'm seeing, and you'll run out of money if if it's all $120 print range.
Exactly. Yeah. So I have items from $8 up to $400.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a pretty good range. I figured out people covered.
And tell me about this catalog that I'm seeing here.
Okay, what this is the What on Earth catalog, and I'm not directly associated with this, but the way I traveled to achieve that is when I had about 24 breeds done, I contacted a transfer company in Ohio. They distribute and manufacture T-shirt transfers. Well, they jumped on board and we got a licensing agreement. So they took my first 24 designs. It's a 5-year contract. If everybody's happy, it rolls into 10 years. So they get all of my future designs and have the option to make T-shirt transfers.
Wow.
So this company that you're looking on the catalog, What on Earth, they purchased the transfers directly from the company I send artwork to. And then I was as surprised as everybody to see my work on their catalog.
Oh.
I didn't know about it. I'm out of the loop when it goes this far, as far as the retail end of it.
So you get monetized at the very start end of it?
Yeah, I get royalties from how many transfers are sold.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so.
Isn't it kind of cool, though, to
I love
see
it. Yeah, every quarter it's a surprise, like, ooh, how well have I done this quarter?
Well, because it's one thing, and I'm sure you've seen this in your progression because you've been at this for more than 30 years, 4 decades at least.
You make it sound so long.
Well, but it speaks to the fact that now you can market your artwork in such a different, broad way thanks to the internet.
Yes.
You have your own page. I'm sure you're on Facebook, etc.
Yes.
But then to also see it being marketed on other platforms must be kind of cool.
You know, it's even better than I thought. It was kind of my long-term goal when I started this to hook up with the transfer companies because I thought they could do more for me than I could on my own. And it's worked even better than they anticipated.
So what else is on the horizon for you? I'm sure, I see you locally, so I know you're still around doing commissions and setting up at some art. I know you don't do it exclusively, but setting up at art shows.
Well, actually, I'm just trying to survive the holiday season. That's always my busiest time with all the commissions and orders because I have an Etsy store, and Etsy does great this time of year.
Wow, so you're on Etsy as well.
Yeah.
We're lucky we could get you in for half an hour today.
Well, this is the day because after tomorrow's event, I'm hunkering down, and you won't see me until after the first of the year. I have work to do.
Now, see, I've known you for years. You've always been upbeat and lighthearted. Do you get cranky?
Well, as you Dan, I get cranky.
No, as you're trying to, as they say, crank out all these works of art, and you're doing your 15,000th labradoodle.
I do. By the time Christmas arrives, I feel like I'm mass producing. It's like, honey, please massage my hand. I need a break. I can't paint anymore. So yeah, the holidays can be a little stressful, and I try to be really, really careful not to overschedule. So that's really the catch, is not to overschedule.
If someone walks up to you at an event and they're like, oh my gosh, I've got to have this for my great Aunt Sally, whose precious collie passed away 20 years ago. And you're like, that's my 90,000th collie. I don't have time. Do you the heartstrings kind of
It's really hard to say no, but it's even worse to say, sorry, I didn't meet your deadline.
Yeah.
And the disappointment that comes with that. So, it's at that point, it's like, you know what? I can do it maybe for Valentine's. How about we do this after the first of the year?
Or send her a card to say this is in the works.
Exactly. People will sometimes accept that because they know scheduling is an issue, or they knew that maybe they thought of this a little late. So, yeah. And, you're right, though. It's disappointing. And so I figure it's even worse if I don't meet their deadline, though.
So glad that you could come in and share some of this busy time of year with us. How can people get hold of you?
They can get hold of me tomorrow by coming to the event, of course.
Well, let's talk about that.
Okay. This is a very nice local event. It's going to be at the Holiday Inn. It's for charity. It's for the Beehive. Santa's going to be there. Huge community thing.
Cute name. The Annual Winter Bazaar.
See, I wasn't going to try to say that. Thank you.
It's a vendor and craft show tomorrow, and I didn't know about this one.
It's great. They've been doing lots of stuff. They're working very hard for it. It's going to be in the banquet hall at the Holiday Inn. They've got over 50 vendors, and they've got a huge selection of raffles and things where you buy a ticket, you drop it in for the auction, and they have a huge selection to draw people in.
And the Beehive does great work for children and families.
They
downtown. They let you through the door for free. It's a great place to not only play with your kids, but also learn about good parenting
And
skills.
this is to benefit them, so it's a great thing.
Absolutely. WeezeMarsha, thank you so much for carving out time during this busy production schedule. You're almost like one of Santa's elves.
Oh, no, because I'm short?
This time of year. And say hey to Dan for us. It's always a pleasure to have both of you in. And I finally got to pick your brain about what the workings of a local artist and it can be.
Well, thank you. I'm thrilled because we have tried for quite a while to arrange this.
We have, actually, and you're such an inspiration. Here's someone who's been an artist since she was very small, and she's making it. This is
You
great.
make it sound so good.
It is so
Thank
good.
you.
We're very proud of you here. And that'll wrap up Panhandle Live for today.